Howdy all, welcome back to Lives. I think it's time to play a little 7 Days to Die. Alright. Since I've started working on my farm, I do need to hunt down a source of niter. And I need some corn and potatoes, specifically, for my preferred source of sustenance. I suppose I should probably get out my moped, my mini bike. Where is my mini bike? Oh, I died, right? Yeah. Yeah, I died. Oop. Can't work my way around that pole. Or, what's that thing called? It's not a pole. I don't know what that's called. Barricade? I feel like it's probably gonna have a different name than barricade, right? I don't know. Let's see if we can't find some corn. That looks like some corn. It's like a bunch of dead corn. You're dead corn, right? Yeah, dead corn doesn't help me. I need the green kind. You're green. We didn't get a chance to play Starfinder this week. About 40 minutes before we normally quit, we got an email, or not an email, a Discord message from one of the guys saying, I gotta be to work at 5, I won't be on. Like, oh, nice. So we could have put in an hour and a half already. But instead you just didn't log in. And left us sitting there waiting. Which, of course, is my biggest pet peeve about the whole situation. But yeah, so no Starfinder this week. I'm probably going to put together something for us to play, though, on the nights when it's my night, and even the nights when it's other people's night. We'll just I'll have to come up with a couple of games, I guess, and swap them around based on who's there. That's so weird. Got so dark. I looked a little bit for something to play, but I couldn't, I didn't find anything that really struck my fancy. And, I also didn't feel like getting started on something new. I mean, it was so late. It was after 10 when we finally got word that we weren't going to be playing. Right? We quit around 11, so we used to start at 9. I don't understand why it's so hard to stick to a schedule for people. And I don't mean like you must be there at exactly 9, but if we start at 9, could you, maybe be on around 9, 9:15, somewhere in there? And if you're not, let people know. so they can go do something else. I don't get it. But I am gonna come up with something, cause I'm tired of not playing D&D on D&D nights, or Starfinder or something else. I did get the Alien book, but I haven't read through the instructions for it yet, and it does seem like a very different kind of system than we normally play with. Okay. I was pretty sure I just heard a snake. Snake? I don't know what that noise was. Weird. So we got a zombie standing over there. Or no, it's a statue? What the heck? That's just weird. It's a mannequin, right? Okay, how much corn did that get me? 105. I feel like that's probably a good amount of corn for what I'm doing. I'm just going to turn it into seeds. So now I want to find either niter or potatoes. Both of those things are things I need. I mean, we find some lead. I marked some lead on my map, Just looking for those big stones. What is this stuff? Oh, it's just grass. Oh, mushrooms. How many mushrooms? I'm pretty sure I have chrysanthemums, though. So last episode, I did talk about watching Star Trek Discovery and how it's not very Star Trek-like, and I still feel like that. I'm on season 4 now, and it is very not Star Trek. But season 3 did give me a clue as to what it was like, and that was there's an old sci-fi show from the, I want to say 90s, called Andromeda. It's by the same guy who created Star Trek, and basically it was like he wanted to make an action version of Star Trek. Because Star Trek, while it does have action in it, is a more drama end of sci-fi, I feel, most of the time. And so, it deals with like a lot of thinking about problems, not shooting everything that moves, right? And so, Andromeda, I don't remember the names of anything because I'm not great with names to begin with, and the 90s was a long time ago. But it was an enjoyable show that I remember anyways. I watched the whole thing. And it was about, basically they had a federation, and one of their ships, the Andromeda, was on a mission. I don't remember what its mission was, but they got attacked by that show's version of the Klingons. They're humans, but they're mutated. They're called Nietzscheans because they're loosely based off of the philosophies of Nietzsche. And Somebody's got a little go-kart track there, it looks like. And so whatever happened to start the show, and I just don't remember what started it. But basically, the Andromeda ended up ejecting the entire crew, leaving behind just the captain and the android. The ship is controlled by an AI, and then the AI has a body it can load itself into, and so the AI and the body, no, whoa, the AI and the body, the AI and the captain. Is that coal? Yes. Okay. Let's mark this as coal. But that's not the niter I need. Although it is something I will need when I get around to having a gun. And like I remember the captain's first officer betrayed him. I think that dude was a Nietzschean. I think that's what happened. Was the Nietzscheans were part of the Federation, and then they basically decided to destroy the Federation and take over. And so, anyways, the ship, whatever it was doing, got stuck in the accretion disk. I think that's what it's called, of a black hole. And because they were close enough to the black hole, it basically froze time for them. So the theory, if I get this correct, is that the closer you get to the black hole, the slower time moves from our perspective. And so the people in the black hole, time is moving regularly, but to us, they're not moving. And so the ship got far enough in the black hole that, for all intents and purposes, time froze from the outside. Now, of course, to them, no time passes. But like 600 years go by and the Federation is destroyed and the Nietzscheans take over. And basically the whole universe, the whole galaxy or whatever, collapses civilization-wise down into, little pockets of warlord fiefdoms or whatever. And so a scavenger ship comes along and detects the Andromeda. Might not be a scavenger ship. Might have been after the Andromeda's weapons. I don't remember. But they end up with pulling the Andromeda free, which brings it back into present time. And so then he goes around in a universe he doesn't know, trying to bring back the Federation's ideals, right? So, was very action-oriented compared to Star Trek. A lot of ship fights and fighting with lasers, guns, and stuff like that. Not probably as action-oriented as Firefly, but in that direction. So Star Trek Discovery is much like that show, which I came to realize after watching season 3. And so the Discovery is basically cut off from the rest of the Federation. There is no moment where the Discovery is really part of the Federation in the first 2 seasons. They occasionally interact with, but they don't obey any rules of. And so each season has a story. which makes it very different from Star Trek. Something might be going on in the background of a season of Star Trek, but no season that I remember of Star Trek, any form of Star Trek, focuses on a single story the way Discovery has so far. And it's enjoyable. It's just not what I would expect from watching Star Trek. It's enjoyable enough that apparently it's been renewed for a 5th season. But the first season, spoilers, the first season was Klingon War. Um, uh, Whatever happened to the Klingons, I don't know if they really explained it, but the Klingon Empire collapsed, and so the main character. Oop, I think right there's my niter. Yes, okay. The main character of the series is this woman named Michael Burnham. And when she was a kid, uh, her family was killed by Klingons. And so then the first episode, they send her out to see what's wrong with the probe. She finds Klingons, she kills them. And which sort of starts a war between the Empire and the. I wouldn't blame her directly for the war between the Federation and the Klingons. She was a catalyst for it, but she wasn't directly responsible. I mean, the dude attacked her. She fought back. He died. He was the leader of this weird cult. The weird cult used some ancient Klingon prophecies and things to summon the 24 houses together. And then this general guy basically took over the cult. And the 24 houses engaged the Federation. Now, she was not responsible for those 24 houses engaging the Federation, so I don't know why they blame her for the start of this war. I don't think there's anything different that could have happened. Whoever went there was going to be attacked by a Klingon, so it doesn't matter if they sent her. Whether or not they would have killed the Klingon, I don't know, but I mean, they could have been killed by the Klingon. You know. Anyways, so basically, season 1, War with the Klingons. And I talked about how it was weird because there was this guy, Volk, who's like this big important character on the show. And then between one episode and the next, he's just gone. I didn't know what happened to him. Silly things happened to him. That's what happened to him. I found it very silly. The somehow, and they never explain it. They don't understand how the science is beyond the Federation, so they never explain it. They even talk to Klingons about it, and they can't explain it. Somehow, they took Voke and they broke him down and they carved up his organs. And even though Klingons and humans have different DNA, different organ structures, different bone structures, somehow they carved him up with surgeries. There must have been other things involved, but all they talked about were the surgeries. And they turned him into a human. And so there's this guy on the show who apparently is Voke as a human. Only they also broke down his mind and imprinted all of the memories of this dude named Tyler into Voke's head. So much so that there was like a oh, what's that thing called? A Manchurian Candidate effect, where they speak the right words and then he activates and becomes Voke again, right? Is so weird. Uh, and they never explain it. And then they're like, "Well, I mean, is he human? Is he the Klingon? Can we turn him back into the Klingon? Is he just the human? Was he the human before?" Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Not even the people involved in making him understand what happened to him to make him the way he is. And so it was very weird. Um, it might be one of the dumbest things on the show to me. Um, and then they also they crossed over to the uh, evil universe. So Star Trek's got this thing where there's an evil version of everybody. I don't know if they're evil. They're a different species, but they look human. But their brains and stuff are slightly different from human, and so they're called Terrans. And they're much more uh, they're much less motivation directed and much more instinct directed. And so they come across as very violent and narcissistically selfish. And so uh, they ended up over there, and all the things that happened, they ended up pulling a character from over there back to the regular universe. And so in the first or the second episode of the series, the captain of the ship. Well, let me put a thing there. The captain of the ship that Michael was on died. She got killed by one of the Klingon leaders that Michael killed. And then, and so when they were over in this Terran thing, they ended up finding the version of her that existed there, and then she was going to die, and so Michael grabbed her and yanked her through to the regular universe. So she became a regular character on the show again. Okay, can we please climb this ladder before this zombie comes down here and gets me? Psst. Dummy, I'm over here. Ooh. That punch was so hard, my computer, or my game froze up there for a second. There's a lot more stutter freezes like that since the new update. Anyways, this story needs to go faster. So they go through the first season. They deal with the Klingon thing. They get the Terran woman, and Giorgio is her name. Not that that's important to the rest of the story, but they do have this Terran Giorgio woman who's basically, I don't know why they keep her around. She's very violent and angry all the time. I thought she was an enjoyable character. I understand why they kept her around. I don't understand why the crew of the Discovery would keep her around. Also, there wasn't a lot of niter down here like I was expecting. How much did I end up with? 453. So, then season 2 started a new storyline because I guess Giorgio helped them end the Klingon War. Giorgio's plan was to just blow up Klingon homeworld, and instead they gave that power to a Klingon so that she could take over. And so then season two they introduced the Red Angel and the Sphere, that had 100,000 years of data stored in it, and then this computer AI program that the Federation used that was controlled by their Black Ops intelligence agency, Section 31. And so the AI became sentient and decided that it should be the only thing alive for some reason. They never explained why. And it found out about the data, and it wanted all of that thing's data. I marked that right. Yeah. It wanted all of that thing's data on AIs so it could perfect itself. Because the orb, the sphere data contained 100,000 years of exploration, including a lot of data on AIs. And so most of the rest of the season was dealing with the Red Angel, which was a time traveler who was alerting them to major catastrophic events and trying to help them keep the. If they didn't keep the data away from the AI would destroy all the living sentient species in the galaxy. And so that was season 2. And then the only way they could keep. Now, okay, so here's something I don't understand. So the nanites that the AI was using to build bodies at one point, they decided on the show had ferrite minerals in it so they could use magnets against it. And then they used the magnets to pull one of the AI's agents apart, and then they took the sphere data into the future so they could go past the point where the AI would control things, keeping the data out of its hand and stopping it from ever taking over. That's all well and good, but they basically took the AI into the future with them. So but that wasn't part of the story, so they just ignored that took place, and I thought that was weird. Like you didn't really wrap anything up. You use magnets to pull apart the AI, but the AI is still laying there on the floor of your thing. And then later, I thought they were going to mention it, but all they did was use shovels to scoop up the. I don't know what they were scooping up because the body was made out of nanoparticles, and then they acted like it was made out of flesh in the next season. So I don't know what happened there, but yeah, it was interesting. It was an enjoyable season. Had some great moments. And then season three was when I realized, oh, I get it now. This is Andromeda. So the the Discovery goes forward, right? 930 years into the future or something like that. And when they do, the Federation has fallen by the time they come out the other side. Am I going south? No, going north. I'm going the wrong direction. And listen, guys, I'm trying to get back to my base so I can work on my farm a little bit more. And so the Federation got destroyed by this thing called the Burn. And I don't know why it's called the Burn. No fire was involved. So I don't understand. It doesn't even make any sense to me. First they said all dilithium in the galaxy became destabilized. Then they said all dilithium in the galaxy became inert. Those are two different things. And I have my doubts that inert dilithium crystals would cause your dilithium-based reactors to explode because the fissible material, or however dilithium works, stops working. Like it would just stop working at that point, right? And so the first chunk of the series, of the season, I mean, was basically them trying to deal with now operating in a non-Federation galaxy. There were some hints of Federation stuff. You know, the roads in this city do not match up very well to get to where I'm trying to get to. Can I fit through here? Yeah. And so it felt like Andromeda, right? Because they were there, the galaxy's falling apart, there's no Federation. Um, most of it's controlled by the Orion Syndicate, or at least the planets they go to. Eventually, though, they do find the Federation. Oh, I didn't grab any of that stuff. Let's see. Corn. And so, um, and then farm. Really? Clay soil. All right. Well, how many of these do I have done here? One, 2, 3, 4, 6. Cool. That'll get me my 10. I wanted to run out anyways. So yeah, so then they discover that the burn started in this nebula, and when they go in the nebula, they find a person, and a person did the burn. A person destroyed dilithium across the entire galaxy, which is really weird. But you know, whatever. It's a sci-fi show, and so they were a child, and they released the rage of seeing their parent die, and somehow the radiation of the nebula had altered them so that they could make dilithium inert, but they also were on a planet made of dilithium that wasn't inert, so I don't know. And I kind of don't like this right here in front of the door. You know what? Ah, well, I'll live with it. Cool. And so, yeah, it was, I mean, they ended up fighting the syndicate and, rescuing that person from inside the nebula. And, that was kind of the end of the story. And so now the new season is, the let's go with a space anomaly has appeared, and it created a gravity shockwave that destroyed an entire planet of people. And so now they've got to figure out what the deal is with this gravity thing. They thought it was a pair of rogue black holes that were collapsing in on themselves together, like collapsing into a single black hole. But when they got there, it's something else, and it changed directions, which indicates that it's either A, not behaving according to physics, or B, is controlled by somebody else. But yeah, that's what I've been doing most of this week is watching Discovery in my spare time. Uh, and uh, I'm watching it in fast forward. I like watching things online because I can tell it to play faster. And so I found myself lately just watching everything on fast forward, so it lets me get through it faster. Um, it's really funny because then when I go to watch something regular, I'm like, why is everybody talking so slow? I don't understand. Let's see. Anything else go down this week? Oh, I was gonna fix my internet, but I don't know if I'm gonna get a chance now this weekend because it's supposed to be super amounts of rain starting tomorrow and basically raining on and off all week, which makes it difficult to get out and pour some cement. Um, I might at least go out and bury the cable tomorrow. We'll see. I might get lazy. We'll see what it's like tomorrow. I need to get the cable underground out of my way so I don't have to stop and move it every time I go to mow the lawn. And I should be able to at least bury most of it because I know where it's coming out of the house, right? For example, and so I should be able to feed it into the conduit that I bought. Hopefully that conduit's big enough too, and then run all that out and get it nice and taken care of, and then just be able to fix the end of it when I actually go to pour the cement. My worry is though is that I'm not gonna know where I can put it because I don't know how much cable I actually need. Uh, but I mean, I guess the worst I have to do, right, is dig it back up and move it again. Well, this puts me at a need for rotting flesh. And I didn't find any potatoes. Potatoes. Potatoes are hard to find sometimes. Also, still no headlamp. I don't know why this game doesn't want me to have a headlamp. It makes my life so much easier. I even put points into looting to try and get better gear. But so far, no headlamp. Well, I think this is where I'm going to call it for today. So with that, be better than the small things, lean to the light. I will talk to you later.